I don't know my top three.
All right, that's it.
Hello, and welcome back to another 99 Proof podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing in the beginning our top 3 TV shows of all time.
Who else here? It's you, Geoff.
It's me, Jeffrey, Kyle, Ryan, just us 3.
Yeah, just us 3. Nobody else
Nope.
is here. No one to fill that silence at all.
We do have Bella in the studio. She can chime in if she'd like, but she's a little shy, so I don't know if she'll chime in or not.
And we also have some rats in our studio as well.
Also, we don't have a studio. This is our living room.
Honestly, I was thinking about it the other day. Those rats
sorry.
that we have
This is
been
the studio.
hearing and have been listening into our conversations, they might not be rats. They could easily be, hear this, a raccoon, a skunk, or just a cat. A stray cat could have crawled into our house, into our walls somehow. We just haven't seen.
Maybe it's
before.
Jesse's ghost.
Well,
I hope
I've
it's
seen a
fucking
cat.
skunk.
Okay, if it is Jesse's ghost, then I understand. I completely agree with it.
No, wait, no. I've actually heard Jessie, like as in her ghost. Yeah, no, I've heard her meow. From
It
my
doesn't even
mom's
sound like
bathroom.
that, because that sounds like a meow.
That sounds like a normal cat. And she sounded like a fucking dumbass.
Like a demon.
Yeah, she sounded demonic and evil and just.
R.I.P. in peace, Jesse.
That's why
She's
we
not in
had to kill
peace.
it.
She's in hell. Anyways. I just heard what you just said. Anyway.
All right, today we are discussing top 3 TV shows of all time. We are going to go in a circle and discuss number 3, all of us, number 2, all of us, and number
Olympia.
1, all of us. Kyle, would you like to start with your number 3 TV show of all time?
Wouldn't it be a triangle?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Good point. It's a triangle. Because there's 3 of us.
Could be a square.
Hey.
Wait, Bella, do you watch TV shows?
I do.
Alright, that's all I meant to know. Anyway, who's starting this?
I mean, I can start if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Number 3, Geoff.
I'm going to go number 3, Big Mouth. It is a newer
Holy
show
shit.
on
Netflix.
Netflix. I've binge watched first and second season. I watched both of those all in one night. Granted,
Jesus
it did take me a little bit to start watching the second season, but as soon as I started watching the second season, I finished it in one night. Yeah, just the characters. Nick Kroll, I love Nick Kroll. He's so hilarious in that movie, in that TV show. He plays just a range of characters so well, so perfectly.
He shouts out Austin in that show. I was watching in the first
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
They just completely call out Austin. It's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it.
What about John Mulaney?
John
Do you like him?
Mulaney is hilarious in that show as
Have
well.
Have you heard his stand-up?
I have heard a little bit of John Mulaney. I've seen his clips on YouTube, like where they're like 3 or 4 minutes long,
He's
but
hilarious.
not his
So
whole
good.
stand-up. But he's so funny. Yeah,
He is funny.
That show is just really appreciated. The animation is perfect. The writing is perfect. You know, it honestly depicts middle school like in a perfect sense. Like it kind of feels like that's how middle school was, just a
I
little
talk
more
to Jack about
dramatized.
that
But
all
it's
the time.
so perfect. It's so good.
Do you want to say that joke more clearly into the
Yeah.
microphone?
Yeah, I talk to my vagina all the time.
No, but if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching it. It'll make you feel those awkward years again. So well written, so well animated, and just a really all around a good show. I definitely recommend it.
Now,
Ryan?
I have a question. Did
Yeah, what's
y'all
up?
like middle school?
Middle school, if I could relive one section of school, it'd probably be high school.
High school? But what about middle school?
Middle
Like-
I'd say middle school's not bad, but it wasn't one of my favorites,
There
you
were
know?
terrible aspects to middle school, as
Yeah.
there should be. But honestly,
Like
my middle
what?
school wasn't the worst. The
My
bad
high school, I'd say, was
aspects-
the best, but my middle school wasn't bad.
Okay.
my bad aspects. I don't know. It was mainly just like changing into a new like surrounding. Really,
Yeah.
that was the worst of it. Like more people. There were cliques starting. That was probably the most distinguishable change from elementary school to
For
high
sure, for
school.
sure.
Is just junior high.
For sure,
is the
for sure.
distinct cliques. that
Yeah.
would just like gather up.
What clique did you just? I don't know.
What is it? The football clique, the jock clique, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that I was.
I think
a
anybody who was in
subset.
football
Yeah.
kind of associated themselves with that clique, regardless whether you wanted to or not.
But most people who were in like middle school football, they were not in it for the football. Like half of that team
Yeah.
ended up going to high school and playing, probably
Yeah.
Soccer.
Now, Kyle, you did football, and so did you, Jeff. Correct?
I
Yes,
did
sir.
the
Did
football.
y'all like it? Did you like
Football is
in
one of my
middle
favorite
school?
sports to this day.
Yes.
If I could go back in time and play another 10 years of football in a row, I most certainly would, even though it
Goddamn.
didn't get me into any college or like into any NFL prospects. It was the most fun moments of my life. I love the game. If I could, I would coach Pee Wee or high school or middle school.
Damn.
I love all aspects of football. I continue to watch it on TV. Go Dallas Cowboys. All aspects
Shout
of
out
it.
Cowboys.
It is like my favorite sport of all time, and I don't think I could ever give it up permanently. I'm either going to be watching it, coaching it, learning about it, or involved in it in some way.
That's great.
Well, I mean,
What about you, Kyle?
I grew up loving football, loving the sport. I really enjoyed watching Texas play with my dad, and then like
Texas who?
Texas Longhorns.
Oh, I thought you meant Texas State. I'm just joking.
They're
That
all
was
right
funny.
too.
Okay. No, they're not.
I
they're
would root-
terrible.
Hey, I would root for them if I saw them on TV. So
Thanks.
yeah, go Bobcats. Anyway, I liked playing it for the most part up until it started getting competitive because I was good at it and I was like on A team.
No, Kyle
or
was
whatever.
a good running back who could hit. We did hit a couple times in practice. I vouch for him. He can hit.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I really destroyed a couple of our teammates, and it wasn't.
Yeah, you destroyed
overall,
someone's arm too.
Did you really?
At one point. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not
Can't remember
pretty.
it vaguely.
I will say,
Which
guys,
guy?
I will let this be known. Me and Kyle actually became friends. I think over me giving him shit for quitting football, and then
I'm-
discovering our love of mutual movies together.
I don't think that at all had any impact on us becoming friends. I think that if anything, that like subtracted so many opportunities from us becoming friends. Because I knew who you were. Like Ryan was friends with you before.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah.
even
true.
met, so,
Me and
like,
Ryan were good friends before me and Kyle
Yes,
were
we
friends.
were in band. We were doing percussion, the front ensemble.
And
Hit is
whenever
legit.
when I
Hit is
met you,
legit.
I thought you were a great guy, and then you started giving me shit about quitting football.
I mean,
because-
Kyle, I'm going to be honest. I gave you shit about quitting football because I knew you were good and I knew you could help our team out. And by leaving us, I felt like you were kind of screwing our team over. I'm going to be
Hot
completely
damn.
real with
Well,
you.
I'm
That's the
happy-
only reason I gave you shit is because I knew you were giving up before you saw your true aspect.
Well, I'm glad that you kept the team's greatest interest in mind. Because really, if you looked at it, how Coach LeHue, our head coach
All
at
right,
the time,
shout out, fuck Coach LeHue.
yeah, he's a piece of shit coach. He was a punter, I believe, on his high school team. That's about as far as he got. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. Anyway, after he gets done giving us this great speech about how if we're not into it, then we should go ahead and quit before we get started.
He was
'Cause
a
I-
hypocrite. He was
yeah,
a giant
I quit on the second
hypocrite.
day. So like right after I heard that, I was like, yeah, I'm not into this. I don't like the people that I'm playing with. I really didn't like anybody on the team except for my friends. Because everybody else, I thought, were just assholes.
Which, to clarify, I was not one at the point. I was one of those assholes.
Yeah, but he didn't know you.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
I did know you. I would know you like if I
What
was.
the fuck?
If
do
we
I
saw
know?
each other in the hallway, we would know who we were.
Definitely.
But, I mean, I was a different person back then, I'll admit it, and I was kind of a fucking asshole.
And like even if like we
didn't
were
think so.
playing against each other and you tackled me, I would still like understand that you were Jeff and not like some other shitty varsity player, like somebody that was an asshole.
Yeah.
I would understand that but in the hallways you would give me more shit than anybody else. And to an extent I was like cool with it. And then we started like
Shit about what?
just quitting,
Gotcha.
stuff about that. And it wasn't like, oh, come on, man, you shouldn't have quit. It was more just like,
What the
fucking
fuck?
pussy. And like, more like that, just the most stupid masculine shit that would just like not actually offend
That was
me, but
fair.
would
I
just
was a
irritate
fucking
me.
asshole. No, that's fair. That's completely fair. I was a dick to you. I do regret being such an asshole towards you.
It's
I should
okay.
have just respected your decision and like let you go on. Because granted, we
Yeah,
did
you really
have
should've
there
asked
were I understand like there were many running backs like that were competitive in that sport
I
that were
would've
all
started
very
that
good.
year.
You were for sure would have started, but like I gave you shit, like I said, because I had the team's interest in mind because I was that kind of quote unquote player. But like, yeah.
Now you're a different
I mean,
player.
do I regret it? Do I regret it in a way? No, because I feel like it did bring us closer in AVP and like bring us to become friends and like talk about it and further get to know each other a little bit better.
That's true. I wouldn't have talked to you after that if you weren't in AVP.
Yeah.
Like that's the way that I see it. It's
Shout
because I
out,
knew
shout out
that-
AVP.
Yeah, shout out Mr. Davis because he was
Mr.
the
Davis.
real coach. He was the real fucking.
He really
coach
did
between-
shape. He really did help me like learn my passion for like movie editing and just like movie appreciation altogether.
Yeah.
I knew I kind of had it, but I didn't know it really came out until he brought it out in me. If that makes any sense.
Well,
Yeah, it does make sense.
Like- like,
he's
shout out
good
Mr.
at that.
Davis,
He's
yeah.
good at like personalizing
For sure. Yeah.
or just like, individualizing each student and really I don't know the ones that he knows has potential
Yeah.
and what
But
he sees as
If he
potential, I
sees
think,
any
is
potential
just,
in you, he will bring the
interest.
most out of you, and I appreciate him so much. If we ever win any award, he is for sure in my thanks.
By the way, Mr. Davis is the AVP teacher at Hayes High School where
Jaxie.
we all went to. Jaxie Hayes.
Does anybody have his phone number?
I do.
No, but you have his Twitter, don't you?
I have his
Yeah.
phone number.
Goodness.
Oh shit, I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Damn it. I feel left out. Okay.
I'm sure he would love for you to come talk though. Like he
No.
recognizes any talent whatsoever. He'll bring the best out in you. I have him to thank for bringing out the most in me in AVP and for me wanting to pursue that as a career.
Yeah.
I tried to bring more out of him by the end of like me being in his class because at a point like he saw me as a leader more than a classmate or whatever.
Right.
And he didn't see me like as trying to like teach the students, but he didn't assign me like the same projects or anything like classwork that the students were. working
That's
on.
completely yeah, no, I understand that because like towards like the second half of the semester, like I'd say after a winter break, when I was in AVP, I basically didn't do any AVP 1 stuff. He would just make me do all AVP 2 stuff without even question. Like he wouldn't ask me about it. He'd be like, "Hey, you're doing their project."
Yeah,
And I'd
he
be like,
saw like the individual in you instead
Yeah.
of just the student.
He'd be like, "Hey, you're doing the AVP 2 project because I feel like you're more advanced and you can do this." And I'd be like, I appreciate that for you seeing that potential in me, and I won't like let you down. And it made me want to work harder just to impress him in
Yeah.
a way. Like I appreciate everything he did for me, and I thank him for pushing me as hard as he did.
Mr. Davis, if you're listening, we all
Shout
love
out to you.
Honestly, if we upload
One of my
this
favorite
and then
teachers in high
actually
school.
like put it on one of our Twitters, he would probably be one of the people to listen to.
Yeah,
Just
no,
because
Mr. Davis
he
is for
cares.
sure one of the most supportive teachers you can ever have. I mean, I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm sucking his dick right
I
now,
wonder
but
if you would pay me $200 to come back to Hayes and then just like give a presentation like you did.
I mean, yeah, I gave a presentation after I graduated because he had asked me to do it very nicely, and I liked him enough as a teacher that I figured, like, why not help out some of the students who have, I don't want to say talent for sounding self-centered, but I mean, I feel like I did
And
have
at
a
least, 'cause, like
passion.
really you don't have
passion,
to have the
interest,
talent,
yeah,
just,
like the people
drive.
who have like a more of a passion for it, like bring that out in them for them to try harder and for them to go deeper into it.
Right. And speaking of passion, my number 3.
That's a good transition. I like
So
it.
not-
I like it. I like
not
it.
even a good transition, and it's even funnier because I don't have my number 3 ready. I just wanted to land that joke.
Oh shit, you don't have yours? Okay, let's go to me.
Go
next
ahead.
then.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
number 2, number
Three.
3 for me is gonna have to be SpongeBob SquarePants.
Wow.
And that's just because one, I haven't finished the entire show and I haven't watched every single episode. I don't think, but I sure have watched enough, and I've watched so much growing up that it's just like a part of me, and like the humor is just built into my brain, and I credit it to a lot of things that still make me laugh today. So
That's
honestly, like as a children's show, it might be stupid to some parents, but like it's just so fucking funny. So I would
It so is.
yeah,
Oh, it's-
and
yeah.
still, like, watching it today, I still find enjoyment, even though not all of the jokes land, I still, like, see it as apart from the rest of the children's animated shows that were coming out like at that time, like fucking
Fairly Odd Parents.
Fairly Odd Parents. I love that show too. It's just
That
it
show's
was
good.
different. It wasn't the same as SpongeBob.
I'm just gonna throw a real quick R.I.P. Steven Hillenburg.
Agreed.
You know, you did create it. It isn't in my top 3, but it most certainly is an honorable mention. I don't feel like I would be the person I am today without SpongeBob. It's as corny and fucking cheesy as that sounds. I feel like for most of us, it did shape our childhood in the most
Definitely.
positive way and like best way ever.
I
Just the
know-
fact that Steven Hillenburg died and that there's a petition just to like get the SpongeBob SquarePants Sweet Victory at the Super Bowl halftime performance in honor of him.
Oh hell yeah!
It's
Let's
just so
fucking do
mind blowing.
that
There's
shit.
a
Be
serious
hilarious.
petition, and they're seriously considering it just to honor him. Like Sweet
Please,
Victory
God.
at halftime of the Super Bowl would be so perfect. I'm
Who would
sorry, Kyle.
perform it?
I would watch.
I think it might have
Make
just
me
be like an
watch.
animated thing where they kind of like cut it in or something like that. You know?
Will SpongeBob come out?
Hologram. That
I'd
would
suspect.
be great. I mean, it's happened before with
Yeah.
Tupac.
Mhm.
That'd be
Oh.
nice.
You were saying, Kyle?
Wait, which one died? Tupac or SpongeBob?
No,
Steve-
Steve Hill.
Steven Hillenburg.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Yeah, we got
Tupac is dead, R.I.P., but he's not really dead. He's on the island with Elvis, but that's a different podcast.
Oh yeah, and Tupac's. Where's Tupac?
Tupac's on the island with Elvis.
Oh yeah, that island's Cuba, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah,
What are the
SpongeBob
Cubans
is just
doing?
the greatest
Oh,
children's show
okay.
in my opinion.
We don't mention the Cubans.
We're the Soviets. Any communists
Well,
except
on
Donald.
that
Ryan.
note, I figured out my number 3.
Number 3, dude. Go for it.
It's got to be American Horror Story.
Again,
love this show
not
so
in
much.
my top 3, but an honorable mention.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, how many seasons have you watched?
I've watched season 1, 2, Hotel, and
Have you seen
not the most recent one. No,
Colts or Roanoke?
Roanoke. I have seen Roanoke. Is that the one with the witches?
No, that's Coven.
Coven. I've seen Coven. I haven't
Okay.
seen Roanoke.
Okay.
But
It's good.
You've seen 1, 2, 3, 5.
1,
that's
2, 1, 2, 5, and
But
Hotel.
You've seen Coat.
No, 5 is Hotel.
5 is Hotel. 1, 2, 5. Which one is Coven? 3. 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Okay.
I've seen all the way through.
Those are really good.
Peter Evans. Yeah.
Wait,
Is his name Peter Evans?
Yeah,
is it really?
I think so.
Peter Dinklage?
No.
God fucking damn it.
He's cool, too.
a respect to the imp on Game of Thrones.
You know,
he's,
like
he's
we
dope.
haven't seen Game of Thrones, so like this isn't gonna be part of the list, but I know that it's probably good.
I've seen all of season 1 and part of season 2, but I kind of stopped at season 2. But I do know that it does have a very respectful following.
I don't think it's Peter Evans.
I'm
I don't
pretty
think
sure
that's
it's
the
Peter
name.
Evans.
I don't think that's the name. Hold on.
Sounds
It's
familiar.
Peter. Wait, I don't think it's Peter because
Yeah, I'm
No.
pretty sure it's Peter Evans.
wait,
Peter
wait.
Parker.
You're a fucking comedy
I'm
legend.
just trying to think of more Peters right now.
Evan Peters.
And oh,
Peter Evans, Evan Peters. Okay. Evan Peters, I feel like in season 1, oh my fucking god, one of my favorite characters
Yeah, he's
in
really
TV.
fucking hot in that
Again, an
season.
honorable mention.
He is. I'm sorry.
I mean, he is. He's so good in that season.
He
I
is?
mean, even the parts I've
Who plays
seen.
his girlfriend.
Thaisa from
how old
Farmiga.
was she? I'm not trying to catch a case, but
I'm not sure, but she was Vera Farmiga's little sister.
okay, so that makes it fine.
Does it?
She is, Kyle, to
plays
answer your
like a
question.
17-year-old.
She was born in 1994, so she is at least 5 years older than you.
Then it's
She's
chill.
fine. It's chill, yeah.
I did watch the first season for the first time like earlier last year, so I don't know where that puts me exactly, but I am younger than her.
I mean, I did watch
The whole
parts
thing.
of season 6, and his role, the way he played in season 6 and season 1 were just unforgettable.
Right.
The number one character of that season, of both seasons. Again, I haven't watched all the seasons, so that's why it is an honorable mention. But Evan Peters just kind of makes that show for me, in my opinion.
Well, all right. Season 2 is some of the best TV. Like some of the best.
Season 2 is so good, so
Very,
good. Season
very
2.
good. I have to agree with you.
Although I will say season 1 is my favorite of American Horror Story still to this day.
Really?
Season 1, I love season 1. Could watch it over and over and over again.
See, I feel
So good.
that way about season 2.
Really?
which one was season 2?
That's
Season
fair.
2 is Asylum.
Yeah.
asylum with the nuns and the
Pepper?
fucking.
Pepper. Shut up, Pepper.
Sorry, our mom's fucking sleeping, so we gotta keep.
Sorry, my fault. Shut up,
It's alright.
Pepper.
It's alright. Yeah, shout out Pepper, but not shouting.
Oh shit!
God damn
Shout
it.
out loud Pepper. Wait, was
Anyway.
Pepper the one with the
Ponytail.
I was about to say the problem.
Yeah, that was.
Good night, Jason.
I feel like a lot of them have problems.
Yeah.
That nun though that was possessed was
Ooh.
oh my god, she was so good in that. Like
So
Lily
creepy.
Rabe, she's such a good actress. However, Jessica Lange is just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Peter
Respect.
Parker, Evan Peters, he's okay. I'm not trying to objectify any human, but he's
But Ryan basically is saying he can get it.
well, yeah, he can get it for the rest of our lives. It has diminished a little bit as the seasons have gone on, but this last season, American Horror Story.
Ryan, can I ask you,
wait 1 sec.
Okay, sorry.
American Horror Story Apocalypse. It was one of the best out of all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
definitely do need to finish that season.
You should.
Speaking of American Horror Story Apocalypse, Evan Peters as a Trump supporter, still, it's going to
That
be a
was
little
Colt,
weird.
but
Colt? Okay, Colt. My fault.
See, he was.
Oh, Apocalypse was the newest season, right? Where like
Yeah.
everything was going to hell.
Yeah.
And the Colt was the season before that.
Yeah, he plays
Yeah.
a gay guy who's like into bondage in the last season, which I'm just like, okay. Okay.
But Evan Peters as a Trump supporter still can get it, or
Well, I mean, not the character, but he can.
that's fair. That's fair.
All right, let's
And
move
Trump
on.
can get it.
My number 2, I'm gonna have to say Family Guy.
Hot damn.
I have seen majority of those episodes. I mean, it never fail. Any episode, no matter how old or new, never fails to make me fucking bust a gut laughing, like to where I'm cramping and hurting, and I have to pause the episode. I mean, Seth MacFarlane, in my opinion, is one of the most comedic geniuses of our generation. Any movie
Damn.
he's in, any thing he's written, Ted, A Million Ways to Die in the West. So I've
You've
such.
seen that?
Oh hell yeah! I've
it
seen it
funny?
multiple times. A Million Days to Die in the West.
Yeah.
So good. I have it on my
haven't
Voodoo.
seen
We
it.
should watch it after this if you'd like.
All right,
So
let's do
good. 10 out of 10. I do love it. It has references to other movies, which I so appreciate because I love that movie as well.
Doesn't Django make an appearance?
Django makes an appearance in the credit scene, as well as, I guess spoilers alert, Back to the Future 3. In Back to the Future 3, they go back to the Old West. And in A Million Ways to Die in the West, Seth MacFarlane character walks in on Doc, kind of creating the scenario he would need to do in order to get back to his present time. And it's so perfect, so well written. I mean, Seth MacFarlane is one of my favorite comedians, one of my favorite actors, voice actors. He's so good. The way he plays like almost every damn character, and it's just so good. Family Guy, I feel like it helped shape my the way I view comedy, and like nothing's off limits. Everything has its limits with dark comedy, and things that should be off limits, such as like 9/11, the Holocaust. He has no limits. He'll make a joke about anything, and I
Goddamn.
so appreciate that. And it made me appreciate comedy as a whole, to where like any comedian who makes a quote unquote controversial joke, I can see the appeal and I can appreciate it within reason. If it's like completely out there, completely fucked up, I won't be like, I support that. But like,
Right.
if it's funny and it's within reason, I can appreciate it so well. And that brings me to another shout out. Honorable mention is South Park as well. I haven't seen as many episodes as I have as Family Guy, but such a good show as well.
Fucking love
As-
South Park.
Yeah, as well as American Dad as well. I haven't seen as many as
Haven't
Family
seen
Guy,
that.
but American Dad is so funny as well, and he just is not afraid to cross the lines in both of those shows.
I hear that one's funnier than Family Guys from some
I
of
mean-
my friends.
It is debatable. Family Guy is more a little bit of stupid comedy. American Dad does have more of a storyline, I will admit, but Family Guy is just one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin, Stewie Griffin, Brian, just all classic characters in my opinion. Nothing could beat them. He does the voice on a talk show. Everybody goes like ape shit. It's just such a good show. Seth MacFarlane, like one of my favorite comedians. I'm gonna be real.
What
But
about
Family
that
Guy,
that other sitcom type?
The
animated-
Orville, or
No,
no,
it
or
was the other show that he did that was animated as well and was tied in.
Cleveland?
Cleveland.
the Cleveland Show. I mean,
Cleveland show.
Respectable, good show. Not as good as I had hoped it would be. I didn't watch past season 1, only because I mean he even pokes fun at how like that's what I love about Seth MacFarlane is like when Cleveland comes back into Family Guy, like literally that episode where he comes back, he makes fun of the Cleveland show so much, like
Goddamn.
like
It's probably because he noticed that there were a lot
Yeah.
of like
no, for sure. He's so
Wants to
self-aware.
capitalize on it.
He's not afraid to call himself out. He calls the studio that produces him fucking Fox. He calls Fox out for so much political shit
I love
and
that.
bullshit. It's so good, and Fox is so afraid to drop him that he can get away with anything. I respect him on a whole nother level. I love Seth MacFarlane, and that's why Family Guy comes in at number 2 for me.
What about that Seth MacFarlane Oscar song that he did about "We Saw Your"?
We saw your boobs. Oh yeah,
That
so good. I
is
love it.
One fault I would have to say, if he did everything else right, that's the one thing he did wrong. Because,
Wrong? I
Yeah,
thought it was
that-
hilarious.
that
I
song is,
loved it.
In my
I loved
opinion,
it.
in bad taste and just flat out stupid.
I don't
I
think
thought it
in
was
bad
kinda
taste.
stupid.
Okay, we have different opinions on this. I thought it was
A little bit.
hilarious and bringing light to like how some actresses have to go through some difficult things in order to get a role, while as you know they shouldn't have to show their bodies in order to get such good roles that are Oscar worthy. I feel like it brought light to a sensitive subject to where actresses didn't have to show themselves as much to get Oscar nominated
Well,
roles.
From the flip side of that, I see it as like him pointing out all of these actors and actresses that have like exposed themselves and have taken their art craft so seriously to feel comfortable enough to actually do that, and then he sees it as something that like he should just broadcast as "we saw your boobs,"
And that's it. Not
and
even
that-
like acknowledging the craft or the artwork that they
Because
created with
there's
it.
a shit ton of people watching the Oscars that hadn't seen any of those movies, any
Yeah.
of those performances. That after that,
That's
went
fair,
online
yeah.
and looked up those,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
actors, and it's just like that's what I would get mad at because
But
like,
at the same time, though, in that aspect, I feel like he did bring light to those movies and those actresses as serious actors.
Interesting. Do you think that's worth like sacrificing their dignity as actors?
I mean, I don't think he even sacrificed their dignity because everybody they showed during that song was laughing in good fun. And I feel like at the same time, everybody he did mention had such great performances in any other movie that it kind of just eliminated that as a whole. And you're like, oh yeah, it kind of makes you think like, oh yeah, you know, we have seen her boobs in that movie, but when I was watching that movie at the time, that's not what I was focused on. I was focused on her performance. I feel like he's kind of just shining a light on how actresses will do anything and they don't need to do anything in order to get an Oscar-worthy role. They can just be themselves just as actors can without showing their dick. And like, you know, it'll still be such a good role. You know, I mean,
I feel like I've seen 2 movies this year where actors show their dicks, and
it enhances the movie.
I mean it just gets me rock hard. Not gonna lie. Just fucking Roma. Okay, that's actually a spoiler alert because you haven't seen Roma. But
I have
there is
not
a
seen
scene.
Roma.
There's a scene.
with dick.
We're not gonna get into it.
I'm seriously trying to think of a movie now that I'm
Gone
thinking-
Girl has seen. Gone Girl. Ben Affleck has a pee-pee in there.
well, like a movie where a tit would like mate. It's just necessary.
Black
you know, like,
Swan, no.
I think The Favorite.
yeah, that they definitely.
I feel like Black Swan, it wasn't untasteful.
I don't think it
Black Swan
just-
was okay. Darren Aronofsky has gone on record saying that he loves shooting, like he loves the art of pornography, and so anytime
For
he
sure.
shows naked people, I can't get that out of my head that he has said that like he would shoot pornography, like, and he just like loves pornography.
Well, what's wrong with pornography?
There's nothing wrong, but like
It is an
that
art
does
form.
make me feel like he's doing it to get a feeling that shouldn't be like
I mean,
experienced
like, I
in
haven't-
regular
Every Darren
cinema.
Aronofsky movie
Yeah.
I've seen where he shows vulgar things such as that, I feel like it has all been in good taste. Like nothing's been out like just like he shows it because he can. I feel like it all ties in with the storyline and it all shows character development and it all is just such in good taste that I don't really notice it. I kind of just more notice the performance, the actor's performance, like such in Requiem for a Dream. I mean, that
Which scene are you talking about? The one whenever the
she is like with all the guys in the room for
that
money
scene
towards
is
the end.
fucking terrifying. And
It was so terrifyingly good though. Like
I
if we could
agree. That one was like
So terrifyingly sexy.
God. But what about the scene whenever you should listen to the audio commentary? The scene whenever Marlon Wayne's character is with his girlfriend slash fiance. I don't know who it is, but they're just fucking on a bed and the girl is completely naked. The guy, I mean, Marlon Wayans, you can't see much other than his side, but it's an overview shot, and it's just spiraling.
See, like that
Where it's
didn't
hard
take
whenever
like
you're
that
tipsy.
didn't take me to the point where it took me out of the movie. Like I didn't feel like it was untasteful. I felt like it was such an art form that I really didn't notice the nudity so much as the scene itself and the acting and like the passion in it. You know, if you know what I mean. Like I feel like Darren Aronofsky, he does say he appreciates that kind of stuff, but I feel like he incorporates so like perfectly and well that you know it's not really untasteful or disgusting. It's kind of beautiful, like a kind of.
You
like
think
a
it's an
harmonic.
addition?
I think it does add to the movie
Okay.
aspect, in my opinion, yes.
Okay, just for the record, I need to say that Darren Aronofsky is one of my favorite directors like ever,
Oh,
and I'm not
definitely
trying
top
to.
five,
I'm
definitely top
not
five.
trying to like say that he does anything wrong because I don't know. I don't think that scene in Requiem for a Dream is wrong or anything. I really like it, and he's still one of my favorite directors. I'm just trying to make an argument. Anyways,
It's fair. Kyle, your number 2 show?
I just wanted to say that probably what we don't see, or what we see inside of each of Darren Aronofsky's movies that are theatrically released, that's not what he sees as like the art of pornography. I'm not trying to be a creep here, but like I think that like what we might visualize as pornography is probably not the most artistic form of pornography that's out there. I think that there's an entire other region of just like
For sure.
artistic pornography that he might be relating to in a
Are you-
different fashion.
I mean, are you talking about more like fetish pornography where they focus on kind of one thing and more of like a nice shot with proper
With
lighting?
like feet and stuff. No, I'm just joking.
Are you-
no, we're talking. Never mind. I'm not gonna get
Honestly,
into it.
I don't know exactly what I'm talking about because I don't know that much about pornography, but
Okay.
I was suspecting more in the love type region versus
Okay.
like the physical sex type
See,
region.
I don't think
But maybe because like most of videography is visual and physical.
I think
It's
when
not-
Darren Aronofsky talks about the appreciation of pornography, I think he sees more of it as the taboo aspect. You know, like he,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, like not necessarily like the shots or like the storyline or the acting of it, but more like you know, like this shouldn't be considered a part of film because it shows
Well, it is film.
penetration and
it's just
such
not
like
film
that.
is
Yeah.
released to mass audiences.
Yeah, exactly. Like, which is why I feel like he feels like it should be released to mass audiences in a way.
I think that the same levels that a rated R film could reach, like emotionally,
Well,
could be reached in a like rated X film if it was crafted by
I mean,
a
yeah.
mind that
Okay,
like, knew
but
what they were
There
doing.
is NC-17 in between those two ratings as well, where you know it can be a movie, but absolutely nobody with a guardian or anything under the age of 17 is permitted without an ID at all. I feel like that can be released in like you know a mass theater.
Maybe
It's-
like L.A. or like
Yeah.
mass cities.
How
but-
or like Austin, LA, New York, you know, those kind of major cities, Chicago, where it can be like kind of a limited release, but still show kind of like some vulgar things at the same time as actually being a storyline rather than, oh, I'm a teacher, you need extra credit, you want to fuck me? You know, actual storylines where it does show that kind of
like
pornographic.
we're looking at the homework and like the extra
Seen that
credit
one.
question.
No.
You know, where it does show kind of the pornographic scenes, but it's tasteful within the storyline tied in as well.
It's very
Like I believe
tasty.
Nymphomaniac was NC-17 with Shia LaBeouf, and I believe that did show penetration.
Same
and some,
director. Have you seen Antichrist?
I've seen parts of it, not the whole thing through.
Okay, that movie has full penetration,
Yeah.
actual, not simulated.
So does Nymphomaniac. Nymphomaniac, I feel like it was simulated, correct? If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, but
Yeah.
it did show it.
Antichrist was not. The actors both agreed to like show their actual genitals penetrating each other.
There you
Do you
go.
think that's porn?
Uh,
I don't think it's porn
no,
because it
in
wasn't
the
erotic,
context
but
of it, I mean, if somebody could watch that scene, I know what scene you're talking about. If someone could watch that scene and like,
I don't even know what scene I'm talking about. I haven't
Get-
seen the fucking movie.
I've seen parts of it, yeah. Like if someone could watch that scene and get off to it, I feel like it's not a majority pornographic scene. I feel like it does add to the movie and to the line and to the storyline as well. I mean, I feel like there is a difference between NC-17 and rated X. NC-17 actually has a storyline behind it, just shows, all
Well-
quote-unquote pornographic footage, as well as rated X is just like, oh, again, like, I'm a teacher, or, like, oh, I'm your stepmom, let me
know
teach
that-
you how to have sex, or some bullshit like that,
The Best Picture winner, Midnight Cowboy, is rated X and it won Best Picture.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I,
did
mean,
not
like,
know
there's
that.
movies that it really doesn't even depend on like the bad,
Context.
like it just depends on like the explicit content. The
Mm-hmm.
content that they're showing is what's most important.
What was Midnight Cowboy rated X for? If you don't mind me
Granted,
asking?
Midnight Cowboy was made in 1968, where the rules were different, but I mean, it
So you think today it would have just been rated R?
probably
Or
just rated
NC-17?
R.
Just rated R?
However, that movie's about like homosexual stuff, so I feel like that's why it was rated X. That's a different conversation. for a different
Homophobia
time.
in America is a completely different conversation. Kyle and or Ryan, your number 2 TV show of
Yes.
all time.
Go
Number
ahead,
2
Kyle.
is gonna have to go to The Office for me. It's just a show that I've watched numerous times, just from front to back, start to finish. Season 1, episode 1 to season 9, episode whatever. But honestly, the last 2 seasons aren't as good as the rest of the show, and really, season 7 and season 6 aren't as good as the previous 5 seasons. And really, if we're trying to get literal here,
Mm-hmm.
the first season isn't as good as the middle 4 seasons.
So rank
but
your seasons.
Season 2 through 6, really through 7 for me. I can fucking rewatch that all day, any day, and I did all 4 years of my high school career. I came home, drank orange juice, and ate peanut butter, and turned on The Office for all 4 of those years, every single day after school.
Me too.
And it was just great. I mean, literally the awkward humor. I said this about SpongeBob.
It's so good, yeah.
It, I think, impacted my humor and my sarcasm and stuff like that, And I just can rewatch Michael Scott and all the characters in there. It's just like the same writers of The Simpsons, and
It is a
shows
number.
with great
Yeah.
characters. I mean, I think that they just came together again and created
It is like a number, maybe. It is definitely top 5 for me, The Office, but not top 3, I would say. Maybe number 4. I would say definitely number 4.
Wow.
Only because, I haven't, like I said, maybe if I watched it from start to end, I just can't commit to it, like I said, because I love the show so much that I'm afraid to get the heartbreak at the end of season 9. And then, maybe season 6 or 7 where Michael Scott departs.
Yeah.
It's just going to be heartbreaking for me as well. The whole season, I've been afraid to commit only for that reason, which is why, for me having seen such little of it, maybe half of the show, is such a high ranking for me, is because I'm so afraid to commit with the characters that I fell in love with in just watching random fucking episodes.
Yeah. I mean, watching random episodes is one of my favorite things to do for that show, especially. I mean, you could just flip it onto whatever, and you already know. I've just watched it 10 times through, so it's I could literally flip to anything and know exactly what's going on. But, I mean, I remember the first time I watched it through, I was 14, and it was just so
'Cause
fucking funny.
honestly, we weren't allowed to watch that show until we turned 14 because it is TV 14.
Yeah.
So all throughout middle school, we had to sit with our parents and our brother watching it in our living room, and they would tell us to go upstairs. And we're like, literally, our sense of humor is heightened. We do not, literally, we don't find the same shit as funny as the other kids our age. We thought, honestly, me and Ryan, I feel like we thought that our humor was advanced enough to be able to watch that show, especially.
Yeah.
And I think we were right, to be quite honest.
I mean, going back on what Ryan said, where like he can just pick up on any episode and know what's happening, I feel the exact same way. Again, only watching half of the episodes. But that being said, it's not like one of those shows like Seinfeld, where it's literally just a show about nothing, where every episode is its own storyline. It all ties in so perfectly, but like so like subtly at the same time, where you can still watch like a random episode and like appreciate the humor all the way out throughout. But if you watch it back to back to back to back to back, you can still appreciate the storyline that it's telling and like
Right, 'cause
appreciate
they'll give
everything.
You pieces of where they're
Yeah,
at
The Office,
in the
one of
season.
like I said, top 5 shows for me, not in the top 3, but like only seeing half of it, still such an impactful show. It's so good.
Well, I think that leads me to number 2, but it's not The Office. It's got to be Parks and Recreation with Amy Poehler. It's a great show. I mean, it's really like The Office, but it's so not, because The Office is a lot more realistic. Parks and Rec goes for a completely different tone, though, which
Ooh,
I
okay.
think because it stays consistent. Because it stays consistent, that's why it works.
I'm gonna have to
If
say
it didn't-
debatable for real tone. I'm gonna say Parks and Rec is a lot more real for me.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Parks
Really?
and Rec is like so silly, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's silly and out there in its
I feel
humor
like-
and in its character.
I feel like so silly and out there that the characters can be real themselves. Like maybe in a smaller town such as Pawnee, like a lot smaller town like that, I feel like the characters can be so out there and zany and wacky that it's just more grounded and real toward like for me. Like I feel like The Office has aspects of it, that are like kind of fun and zany, but I feel like The Office kind of follows like a whole government issue, and if you will.
You said The Office?
I mean the Parks and Rec, like government issue. I feel like Parks and Rec is just a lot more real. It has more serious moments for me.
It makes
Parks and Rec
sense.
is a show that I've seen from start to finish, and it is again a top 5 show, maybe number 5. I've just listed my top 5 shows of all time after I list number 1. But yeah, Parks and Rec, one of the greatest shows. I do feel like a little more real than The Office, but The Office does provide a little more humor and zaniness for me than Parks and Rec.
One main argument I would have to, like, I guess, stand behind whenever it comes to like the realness of Parks and Rec versus The Office is Andy Dwyer's character. He's literally just a punching bag for the audience to laugh
Chris
at. It's
Traeger's character is just literally a god, and then Leslie Knope is an energetic the Energizer bunny
But
the entire
if we can be
time.
honest, a Leslie Knope, an Andy Dwyer, and a Chris Traeger in your life. If you can name me a Michael Scott in your life, or such an Angela in your life,
But there's only
I feel like
Michael
the
Scott.
character. I
I could
say an Angela.
Yeah.
I
All
could
of the
say
other ones
an
are just
Oscar.
reacting to a Michael Scott in a real life setting.
But like I said, I feel like it's a lot more relatable for Parks and Rec than The Office. That's saying The Office is still above Parks and Rec for me, based on how strong of a show it is after only seeing half of the episodes. But I feel like just as like a relatable wise and more realistic show, Parks and Rec does beat The Office in that, because I feel like The Office characters are just so out there. Because do you know a Kevin Malone?
Well, I'll just
Yes.
straight up
Do you
say it.
really?
I'll 100% say that The Office is more relatable and
I
Okay,
agree.
that's fair.
than
That's fair.
Parks and Rec, and it's just a base of opinion, I think. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like I still like.
I mean, they are two very highly debated shows between each other.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people have opinions, whether you love Parks and Rec or The Office or both. People will have opinions strongly about both. But, I mean, like I said, this is just all opinionated.
All right, I think that brings us down to our number 1,
Let's hear it,
Jeffrey
Jeff.
Moss. Are we saying last names?
We're saying
I
last name,
forgot.
Jeffrey Mosso.
Jeffrey Mosso, let's go.
I'm going to say, number 1, Stranger Things. That is a show I could watch from start to finish on season 1 and season 2. So anticipating season 3. The character development, the acting in it. Granted, it is a newer show, but it's still so good in my opinion that it just has to be up there for me. I've yet to be disappointed by any aspect of it. Character development, writing-wise, directing-wise, storyline-wise. Everything is so perfect for me. I just love it so much. I mean, it is one of the only shows where I actually buy memorabilia for it. I have spoiler alert, I have a Bob shirt. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I do have a
I
Bob
don't know.
shirt.
I haven't
have
seen the
a,
movie. The movie. I haven't seen the show. That doesn't mean anything to me.
I do have a Steve the Babysitter shirt. I have at least 3 Stranger Things shirts and a couple of Stranger Things pop. Like it's just such like an iconic show for me already. I mean, being so new. I mean, the acting in it is phenomenal for how young the stars are. It's so good
see
for
the acting that the like mother of the boy who goes missing. You should see the acting she does on
Good
stage
God.
whenever they're getting an award.
I've seen that.
You've seen it?
It's
fucking hilarious.
It is hilarious.
I think it's the funniest thing ever.
But yeah, Stranger Things definitely a number 1 TV show for me. Like I said, I could watch it from beginning to end. Winona Ryder, the way she plays her character is so good. That is the character we were talking about who has the zany performance while they are accepting the award. Winona Ryder. I mean, Gayton, the kid who plays one of my favorite characters. His name is
Gaten's the first name.
Gayton is the character's name, but his
Is that
name.
the guy whose face looks like a crumbled up piece of paper?
Hey, that is him.
Curly hair.
I don't appreciate that. His name is Dustin in the show. He is
God
hilarious. I mean, my
That's
cousin
really
does
rare.
work with his aunt.
Oh shit.
The
Yes.
fuck?
She used to, I think.
Is used to or whatever. But like I said, Millie Bobby Brown's performance in it is so well for her. In season 1, for her saying such little dialogue, her performance is phenomenal. In season 2, she has a little bit more of dialogue and character development a little more, and it's still so phenomenal. There's one episode where the whole episode revolves around her, and she just executes so perfectly. Winona Ryder, David Harbour, who is the new Hellboy. He is so good as the Hopper in the TV show. The whole show just develops. I mean, Finn Wolfhard, the main character in the show, every character is so fucking perfect and
Have you
so
seen his band?
well executed. I'm sorry?
Have you seen Finn Wolfhard's band?
I have seen Finn Wolfhard's band, yes. I mean, every character is just so well executed that it makes me excited not only for season 3, but each individual actors, like David Harbour as Hellboy. It gets me excited for him because I appreciate him as an actor in Stranger Things. His role as Hopper from beginning to like what it is now is so perfect. It gets me excited for anything Finn Wolfhard is in, anything excited Gaten Moretz is in, anything that Millie Bobby Brown is in, anything any of those characters are in is going to get me excited and make me want to go see it. Just the impact they have social media wise, I mean, pop culture wise is so good that it just has to bring it to number 1 for me. I could watch every single episode from beginning to end nonstop. There's not a single skip for me. It's so perfect, and I do love every single character in that show.
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard, like he was 100% the standout of that show
Yeah,
for me.
for sure.
Whenever I watched the first
That is
season, 'cause
fair, yeah.
that's the only season I've seen. Like everybody else was great, but he
You haven't
was,
seen
like,
season 2?
No, I have not.
For sure recommended.
I
10
should
out
see
of
it.
10.
I
You should
see
for
it
sure watch
because
it.
I did very much so enjoy the first season.
Yes.
But like Finn Wolfhard, he surprised me in that show because I had yet to see a child actor convince me so well, honestly.
Mhm.
And then
That is
whenever
fair.
I
That's
saw him in it,
Such a good point.
he
That
was
is
just
such a
the
good
fucking
point.
like funniest thing ever. Like I've seen.
We just fist bumped.
We did just fist bump if you didn't hear that. But like I am so looking forward to that kid's career and future in like
For sure.
industry. I
Yeah.
hope he doesn't get fucked
Even
up.
his charisma on the red carpet in his band, like Ryan was mentioning, his charisma outside of acting is just so perfect that I feel like they did just such a standout job of casting him for the main character in Stranger Things. Like you said, referencing it, he was the standout character, cracking all the jokes, making the funnies in the it. It makes me excited for it chapter 2,
Yeah.
when not only as his adult character, but as his younger character in it chapter 2 as well.
Yeah.
I just hope he doesn't like. I feel like him taking on the role of, his role in it made it to where he seemed like he was pushing his limits in some sort. I want him to keep pushing his limits because that comedic role. I mean, it seemed to match him, but I feel like that took a lot of work and a lot of time for him to do that. I just want him to keep exploring and All right, sorry for the brief delay. I know that y'all won't
I don't
get
think
that
they
at
felt
all.
a brief delay.
Yeah, it's just gonna cut to this immediately, but we ran out of batteries.
Anyways,
so I had to
we
run
will
upstairs and get
like.
that.
I think at this point we will edit. I mean, anything that was missed in the podcast will
I'm
kind
not
of
gonna
fill
edit
in.
any of this.
Raw
any
footage.
of this.
Fuck this.
None of this. It hasn't been
raw.
edited since day one.
Were we at 49 minutes when it cut off?
What day are we at?
It was 49. So we have like 10 minutes and some change.
10 minutes.
So let's go with number 1 for Kyle. I'm gonna have to go with 13 Reasons Why.
I have not seen that at all.
I am just fucking joking. I was
Okay.
gonna try and see
Everyone
y'all's
listening
reaction.
just fucking
I have not
got
seen any of it.
triggered.
Not seen any of it.
It's just ass. Anyway,
Have no desire to see any of it.
that show intrigued me.
Okay.
The first season was good, I thought.
It keeps you going.
It does.
Once- Yeah.
It
wanna
wants
keep
you to
watching
finish
it.
till the end, and then
Yeah.
at the end it lets you see her die, and then that's the only payoff. The only pleasurable
That
payoff
sounded like
you
a
see.
porn I fucking watched.
Yeah,
you
Are
finish
they-
till the end and then you
Are they
watch her
gonna-
die.
that's a weird fetish, but I'm into it.
I'm just joking, guys.
Kyle,
I'm
your
sorry,
actual
I'm
number
gay.
one?
My actual number 1 has to go to Breaking Bad.
I've not seen a single episode of that, but
Yeah, dude,
so want to
you're doing
watch
yourself
it.
a serious disservice by not watching that show
saw the
because
first
every
3.5
episode
seasons.
seems to build upon
Really?
the last one, and it just like keeps going up.
I've literally
until
heard
the
net-
5th season, which is divided into 2 seasons, which then it just drastically increases in like heights and stakes, and it just is a perfect climax to the entire show. It does not go down a single episode.
I will add
Every-
on. I have not heard a single negative thing about that. Really quickly, sorry.
Yeah, and I've heard some negative things, but it's only from people who haven't watched the show, like haven't finished the show. You know, like people will watch the first season and then say it's not like fast enough because they're expecting like Walter White gang shit. But like you gotta get through the interesting real shit that gets you to the gang stuff. Ugh,
But like
it
the
angers
first
me.
season is
It's still
fucking good
so
in itself.
well written.
I've seen it and
Like
it's good.
that show is so well written. The writing is just like it's some of the best TV writing I've ever seen or heard. And I've watched The Walking Dead. Don't get me wrong. That's
I
probably
haven't seen
number
a
2.
single episode of Walking Dead.
I was just joking
Yeah, that
about
was
that
a
too
fucking-
because the writing in that is a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. The same thing.
Anyway, by season 5, the characters are fucking changed. Like, it's just a journey that is worth starting from the start to finish. And really, like, anyone who starts the show and can't finish it, I don't understand because I was in 8th grade whenever I first watched that show. I wasn't allowed to, so I watched it only whenever my dad went to sleep and I watched it on my phone. So I only watched that show in the hours from 10 p.m. till like 2 a.m. And I was in 8th grade. So like I had to get up for school at like 5 a.m. because our stepmom was an elementary school teacher. That's how we got to school. So we had to go with her. So I was getting like 3 hours of sleep whenever I was watching the majority of this show. And it was the best fucking time of my life.
Jesus.
Mark
Well.
my words. All right, number 1.
Ryan, can I
let's
guess
hear
your
it.
number one show before you say it?
If you'd like to.
Call Me by Your Name. No, I'm kidding.
God
All right.
damn. That was a show.
I'll guess it and I'll be right, so I'm not going to guess it.
All right, Kyle. No, I'd like to hear your guess before
not
Ryan
going
says his number
He
one.
already knows. I mean, like,
Does
it's,
he? Is it
spoiler
the same as
alert,
his?
it's already been discussed, so we're not going to discuss it much. But I mean, The Office for me.
The Office. That's fair.
Yeah, it's a great
Thought you were
show.
gonna
Great
say
show.
The Oscars.
Wow.
The Oscars.
The Oscar goes to the Oscars.
The Office.
No, because like the Oscars is the TV show.
Oh god, this is a train wreck.
Yeah.
Well,
Speaking of
Oscars
bad
having no
movies-
host in 2019.
Ooh. Sorry, go on with The Office.
oh no. I mean, literally everything that's already been said. Agreed.
Relatable.
Agreed. I mean, I feel like Jenna Fisher is underrated in that show.
That's Pam, right?
That is Pam.
So underrated.
She was
She's
nominated
so-
for an Emmy for season 2, but I think she could have gotten it for season 3,
4,
Season-
5, 6,
9 as well.
7,
I think
8,
she
9.
was at her best on season 2.
I
to
think
be
so
honest.
too.
And I think that the only Emmy that was given to Steve Carell was in the wrong year.
No,
Like,
it was
Steve-
Golden Globe.
Golden Globe. How many Emmys did he win? He won a couple, right?
I don't know how many Emmys, but he only won one, and it was for the first season. He was nominated for all of his
One
seasons
Golden
in there.
Globe?
Yes.
So, yeah, the Golden Globe he won was for the wrong season. He was a little bit snobbed, robbed, whatever, for the later seasons because
I
really,
think-
once season 4 hits, whenever, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen, but once the moment that Jim and Pam get married, a slight spark in that show dies, and Michael Scott has to pick up for it, and he totally does the rest of like the show until he leaves.
That being said, I have not seen it all the way through, so I don't know exactly what you are talking about, to be fair.
All right. Well,
And it's
I
just
don't
because
remember
it's-
what I was
plot-
gonna say.
It's really just because a
Sorry,
major
Ryan.
plot
It's all
is finished and finalized, and it's like you get to see what you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see, and they do it a very good way with the fucking like casino night episode. I mean, like, goodness gracious, one of the best. And
Mm-hmm.
even after that, at the season finale of season 3, it's beautiful.
Ryan, I do have a question for you. I mean, since you did lose your train of thought,
I do
one
have
thing
it
that
now.
sets this away from one thing that sets this apart from any other TV show in history that makes it the best show ever for you. One thing, if you could just name it in one sentence.
Nostalgia, because I've watched it forever.
I have one, even though it's not my number one show, it is my number one replayable show.
That is completely fair. Like, if I'm looking for something just to play while I'm going to sleep or to play while I am under the influence of anything, it is The Office. My go-to is The Office.
And I think that my main reason is for awkward humor. Like,
Yeah, so good.
It's just
So perfect.
no other show has done it as good.
I feel like Parks and Rec comes close, but not as close.
That's
Yeah.
true. And Parks and Rec,
It seemed like it was trying, to be honest, for its first season. Whenever it was still trying to find
Love
its
Parks and Rec
footing.
first season.
it was trying to like springboard off of the awkward humor that The Office had built from that like style of editing and style of shooting.
Right.
But really, it found its stride in mid season 2, and then after that, it just starts going up because like the characters really become characters.
I mean, I do know that is the most common thought of what you just said, how it skyrockets from the mid season 2. But that being said, season 1 and first part of season 2 in Parks and Rec, I love so much,
and the same could be said about The Office.
That is
because, like,
completely fair. Yeah.
The Office, people say that after season 1, it's not as good as the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with that, but I still go back to season 1, and there's some hidden fucking gem jokes in there, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, they actually went for that.
Yeah.
And it just like makes me, look at it as something different because it turns into something different.
What I was gonna say earlier was you were saying that he got it for the wrong year. I think he got it for the right year because he completely got that show. Like he carried that show. He made it his own. Like he deserved that Golden Globe because if he hadn't have gotten that Golden Globe whenever he did, then we probably wouldn't have The Office. To be honest, like
Fair.
we
That
would
is
not have
completely
it, and it's just because he believed in it, he committed completely. So like I think he deserves it for that year because
Oh, sorry.
what's up?
No, continue.
I mean, season 2 and season 3, season 4, like he was totally fine. Like he did everything and more for both of those, or for all of those seasons.
I feel like until Michael Scott left, he was one of the most strongest characters in the show.
Yeah, he was like, from the get-go, he was the reason the show existed, is to see normal people in the environment with a boss that, like, I mean, you say that, like, it's not as relatable as Parks and Rec, but I feel like a lot of people could relate, especially people later in their lives who have worked with a boss at some point in their lives that just rubbed them the wrong way, and, like, you couldn't really explain it. And, like, Michael Scott perfectly personified every single one of all of the American problems with their bosses. Like, I think that he just...
The homosexuality, the
like, all of the
misogyny, yeah,
actual
everything.
problems that somebody could have with someone that's above
For sure.
them in a work environment, and they just can't do something about it. I think that it's just one of the funniest shows to ever be made,
fair.
to be written.
All right, guys. I don't know if there's anything more to be discussed. Ryan,
Yeah,
if you'd like
we
to...
have about 14 seconds.
if you'd like to get the exit music ready.
All right, we have
I mean,
7 seconds.
That
Let's
has
do some
been
singing.
that has been 99 Proof Podcasts. I am Jeffrey Masso.
Kyle Peed and Ryan Peed. Thank you for hearing.
Listen to the sexy music play out.
I don't know why we tried to cut this at exactly an hour whenever the first one wasn't even an hour.
Honestly.